Hi everybody, and welcome to this overview showcasing the Moneypenny production screen-specific software for real-time paperless and digital accounts payable approvals. Before we kick off, let's take a moment to review this desktop view. This is the landing desktop that you'll see when you log on to the server. It has a series of folders, for example the Projects and Scans folder. The Scans folder will have a folder for each project you have access to. Within each project, there is a series of subfolders called in-trays, which are key to the paperless solution. The Projects folder contains a list of each show that you will have access to. Let's go ahead now and take a look closer at the software. When you first get your license, you should take some time to review this setup menu. This menu will contain many variables which will be used on your project, such as free fields, locations, and sets, and may all be used in all manner of ways for the required reports to the various project funders, or to track qualifying spend. If your project has multiple currencies or companies, you will find this setup in currency. Here you can see, for example, the base currency and other currencies with their associated FX rates. Let's go ahead and look at the engine of what drives our paperless purchase order and accounts payable system. We navigate to the crew master files. This is where we nominate the crew members' access rights within the purchase order portal if they have been allowed to make financial commitments on behalf of the production. Within the master file menu, here you can see we have several crew members set up already. To add a new crew member, we simply click Add below. A new crew record should contain a unique code, crew member's name, email address, main account number, which links to the job title. You should also add in the associated start and contracted end dates. We should select the crew member's department, which is also important for the crew member's online access. Other fields here in the General, Banking and Taxation tabs should be completed for payroll and contracting purposes. But for purchase orders, we next go to the Web Admin tab, which is where we assign the crew member's online permission from within the Web Admin tab. We can allow the crew member to do many things. For example, purchase order access can be restricted or not. We can assign approvers to the purchase orders along with the monetary approval levels. The approval of the PO will follow the list of approvers as shown until the PO is ready to be posted to the cost manager. We can also grant access to allow the crew member the ability to code up the PO, assign specific locations, restrict which currencies and companies the crew member can raise a PO against. Once we have finished assigning the purchase order rights and permissions, we can save the record to submit the crew member a new starter welcome email. We right-click on the record and select Send New Starter Email. Let's look at what this looks like. Our crew member will receive an email with their login details, and if the production chooses to add a custom message, this can be done from within the email templates in the main setup menu as shown earlier. Now let's look at the crew portal. When we log into the portal, we will see a screen similar as shown. Menu items will differ depending on the access. Our crew member can review all the personal information from within the My Details option. This will talk in real time to the accounting software and can be used for payroll and crew contracting. For the approvals process, we have the ability to add your e-signature as shown. This signature will be added to any invoice this crew member approves. Let's go now and look at creating a PO. As you can see, a list of suppliers that have been previously approved will be presented. Or for a new supplier, I can hit Add by selecting the Add button. I can then add a summary of my PO. I can choose the currency and then continue to add my line items. At this stage, any account number, locations and free fields can be filled in, and any approver of this PO who wishes to change these items later on as they approve can do so. I can scroll down and review the sections where I can supply instructions to the supplier and a note to the approver. I can also add in any supporting documentation which the PO approver will be able to review, and this information will also be presented to the approver again when it is at the invoice approval stage. Once I submit my purchase order, I'm able to continue to raise another PO. For now, let's look at the PO lifecycle in our account software. From within the web entered POs, we can see several items. We can see if a PO has any attachments, if there is an attachment symbol displayed as shown. We can see who was required to approve a PO. We can see if a PO was missing information prior to posting. And finally, we can see if a PO is ready to be posted to our management system. Once we have received an invoice that we need to enter, we do so over in Accounts Payable. I've copied and pasted my PDF of the invoice within the digital in trays as shown earlier. I select from the menu items how I want to enter this invoice, paid or unpaid, and using the in tray. If your project has multiple currencies, you will need to ensure that the correct currency is shown, as this is linked to the approved purchase order. Once I select OK, the system will search the in-tray folder and bring back my invoice and the entry window. From here, I can continue the invoice entry and match with any purchase order. I will flag here that the invoice matches the PO and add any notes if needed. As the data has already been entered while the PO was being raised, the invoice data entry is sped up. Let's review this transaction in the Unposted Transactions window. As our invoices have not been approved, we cannot post them down to the system until they have gotten the required approval. Here I can see my Matches PO flag. These invoices I can send to the same people who approved the initial PO. If the PO has any monetary limits, this logic will also be followed for the invoices. I can choose to bypass and decide to nominate other persons to approve this invoice should I need to. I select the line or lines and choose my option for approval. Only invoices that have documents attached can be sent for approval. So if I have an item that has not got any documents attached, I will be notified to add documents so that I can submit for approval. We are now on the portal and logged in as a crew member who has authority to approve invoices. I can approve invoices in bulk or review the invoice details by clicking View. Once the invoices are approved, you will be able to post the invoices down from within the Unposted menu and continue with your payment run. For petty cash, we can enter petty cash, for example, using the in tray. You paste all the petty cash details from a breakdown that a crew member has provided. This could be an export from a debit card provider if you're using the debit card option. Petty cash reimbursements, I can choose to pay via invoice. I enter the full or partial amount should I need to reduce a float, and any sales that are highlighted in red highlight an invalid account number. Finally, let's now take a quick look at the Cost Manager. You can see the current period costs, costs to date, purchase orders in the system, and estimates to complete. We can add an overage and a note explaining why, and we can drill down and look at the underlying costs in each section, and any and all documents that have been added will be visible for viewing. From within the Cost Manager, we have the ability to modify purchase orders and also make any necessary distribution changes. From here, I can save my changes and print a cost report, or save and close. So there you are, folks. There is a quick overview of our system. Thank you very much for listening, and if you have any other questions, please do get in touch with us here at Moneypenny.